Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, your host, and I have a question for you. Do you feel like you could communicate more effectively? Do you feel like you're not really true to yourself and authentic? Well, today's your day because we're going to be talking to Corine La Font, and we are going to talk about those two things, how to discover your true self and how to communicate more effectively. So without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Charisse. It's a pleasure to be here to spend time with you. My name is Corine, as she says, Corine La Font, and I'm a communication specialist and consultant. I'm based in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. For those who may not know, just in case, it's not very far from Barbados. Most people would know Barbados or Grenada. It's along those nice chain of islands going up on the Eastern Caribbean. And thank God for Google Maps. You know, you could easily just type it in anywhere in the world and you'll be able to find us.
No one tell before we talked about it. I'm like, oh, it's like 1:30 in the morning. Like, and you're like, no, it's in the afternoon. I go, what? Wait, where are you? In the Caribbean. I'm like, oh.
I'm just a few hours ahead of you. And then if I decide to take a flight, I'll be joining you in your time zone.
Yes, this is very, very true. And I was actually just in your time zone over the weekend. So.
Oh.
Well, I really do want to talk about this because for me personally, as I was a child, I was one of those pleasers that I just didn't matter. And I got to be honest, I'm still kind of like that, but I'm getting better. But we as individuals tend to sometimes want to please other people, or we don't become our true self. And because of that, I think that adds a lot of trauma and that adds a lot of other stuff, which is why I wrote my book. But I really feel like my husband tells me all the time, Charisse, you don't communicate. You don't use subjects. You don't do this. You don't do that. And it's true. Like, I just expect him to read my mind and we're having a conversation. And if I jump to another topic, he just needs to follow. And that's not what happens. And so I think that communication is something that we can all improve on a lot. So let's talk about, because you have a 5-step process that I think is really important to talk about. So do you want to talk about that?
Sure, but you have to remind me what the 5-step process is. I can't remember. But let me ask a question. How long have you been married?
I love your true self. I love your authenticity. So my first time was 15 years. This time we just celebrated our 14th anniversary. So
the first one was 15. So this is your second marriage.
Yep.
So the first time was 15. The second time is what? 15, 14.
Almost, yeah. Yep.
Oh, congratulations. So, yeah, based on what you just shared, it tells me that you're doing something right. Because if you're married twice, it means to say the guys clearly have understood you in order to propose to you and to stay with you for 14 years. So you're doing something right. And they must be understanding you to some extent to stay with you for such a long period of time. I think when they say to you, you need to say this or that, what they're actually communicating to you is that they want to hear something in particular. So it's not a matter of you not communicating. They are seeking something that they're not hearing from you. They want to hear something from you. So for example, they may want to hear how much you love them on a daily basis. They're actually communicating to you their love language. They want to hear it. So they probably might be words of affirmation, which is something that you voice or you do by your action, which is like probably little love notes or little things. So they're actually probably communicating to you, Charisse, I would like to hear you more. I need you to do this, or I want to hear that, or you need to communicate. So when they're saying they want you to communicate more, what I am hearing is their love language being told to you over and over again. So it's that thing that you're not doing that they want. So they want more of something. So it's not to say that you're not communicating, because if you're not communicating, and communication, you're looking at it as talking. Communication is more than talking. Communication is your actions. Communication is your energy. Communication is your non-verbal cues. So you have to pay attention based on what the other person is telling you that they want. So there is a gap that's happening there, right? While you are seeing it simplistically, you're not communicating, meaning to you in your mind, you're not saying something right in your words, in your phrasing, or you're probably not sending over the message correctly. What they are actually saying to you, if you listen well, which is also a key point of communication, because you're not listening, you're not listening. You are listening based on what you want to hear, but you're not listening based on what they are saying to you. So what they are saying to you, and I include your first husband in this, just as a generalization, is that, honey, I want to hear a particular thing from you. So they are missing something that they want to hear. They're telling you my love language is most likely words of affirmation. I want to hear something from you. If you just try that, probably for a week or two, by doing something different, if you pay attention to the things that he like, or you say, honey, I love you, you will see he'll perk up, because he'll be like, is that Charisse? And he might smile. He might even start to shiver a little bit because of the shock and because of the intensity of how he feels good inside, the dopamine, that will start working, because that is what he wants. He wants to see those little love notes, in his little underwear drawer, or probably in his, little sexual undertones, or probably a little nice little sexual text that comes across in the middle of his meeting when he's supposed to be focused. You are disrupting, but in a good way, so he can look forward to something when he comes home. Little things like that, is what he probably wants to hear. So it's not that you're not communicating in the way he wants. And that is a mistake we make in a lot of relationships. We communicate in the way we want persons to talk to us, but we have to understand how somebody's love language is, or what is their love language, and communicate to them in that way. So for me, let me put a highlight on me now. My love language is quality time. My other love language, or main love language, is acts of service. If you come over, if you cook for me every day, I love you for the rest of your life.
Amen.
I love you both for you, buddy. If you're a chef, and I mean, because if you're a chef, I automatically fall in love with you. I mean, you got me right there. I don't care about anything else.
Or yard.
Right? Because that is something I love. Food is my thing. Healthy food is my thing. Yeah. And I love seeing a man behind a kitchen. I don't mind helping you, but I want to be able to be spoiled that way, when you cook me, because I don't want to cook. I don't want to do that. I don't mind washing. I'll do a bit of cleaning, but you see the cooking, oh my God, you'll get me there. So once you speak to me in that love language, oh, I'm in love with you forever, amen. So we have to speak in that person's love language. So listen more, Charisse, and drop those little notes in the underwear drawer and the nice little sexual text, and tell him you love him, or you find that suit fits him good, or he look exceptionally handsome today,
I 100% agree with that. And that's where I've noticed. And to get back to the question I asked, you have 5 steps. You went through the first 2 and you didn't even realize.
I did.
Yeah, discovering your strengths. So you totally pointed out my strengths right away, right? You said, well, you're doing this and you're doing this. So let's just focus on that. And so you started positive is, what are your strengths and what are you good at, or what are you unique? And then the second thing with your steps was understanding your audience, because the way I'm interpreting or what I'm saying is not what you're hearing. And so it's true. If I give my husband a hug, he likes touch only by me, not like touch by other people. COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me. He's like, oh, I have to stay 6 feet away. I don't have to worry about it. But
6 feet, 6 feet.
I know. But for me, he's just like, ah. So if I touch him, he's like, oh, you like me today. And it's this joke that we have. It's not a negative thing. It's a joke that we have, which I won't get into. But so I think that those are the type of things that it really is important. And then making sure that your step 3 is developing your message, and then practice speaking and get feedback. And I think you can touch on that because this is your method. Don't you love that? I
We're
love your,
talking, we're having a lovely flowing conversation.
when
So,
you have an interview with someone. I have this all the time where, you put something, but you write it a long time ago, so you don't always remember. And then the host comes and they ask you verbatim these questions. And then sometimes you reword the question the same way. And so they're asking you the same thing 3 times. And you're like, what? So I love that you're honest. You're like, remind me which are the 5 steps.
yeah, I'm human. I can't remember what I wrote.
And she did. It really came from her. I'm not making it up.
No, no, I really can't remember. You are not the only host who pointed out the 5 steps. I'm like, what 5 steps? What are you looking at? Tell me about it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love you. So let's talk about leadership because when we're running a business or we're running a family, this is something I realized I might have run colleges, but I am not a good leader in my home. And I don't mean to take that lightly, and I don't mean to say negative things about myself, but what I mean by that is I need to teach my kids. Like, I was one of those kids that I just figured it out and I was involved in everything. Nowadays, I feel like kids are totally okay sitting on a computer literally all day long if they're allowed. And there's not ambition or drive. Like, we went out and played in the yard. We didn't have internet growing up. So that just wasn't an option. We didn't have
Yeah.
200 or 500 channels. We had three and then 13. And so skill building is something and leadership that I think is really lacking. Like, I just feel like I could do so much better. So what is your advice to become a better leader?
One thing I will say to you again, using you as an example, don't be hard on yourself and give yourself grace.
Right.
The thing about it, you're not doing anything wrong. There's no manual, there's no university you could go to for parenting. You learn on the go. And our children actually come into this world. This is my belief. Nobody else has to believe it. Children come into the world to teach us. It's not the other way around. They are here to teach us. So ask yourself, what are your children teaching you about you? What are the lessons? Yes. What are they teaching you about you? So let's just use a wide example. So if somebody has a challenged child, they didn't necessarily ask for that. Nobody asked for a challenged child or autistic, whatever situation. But that child teaches you a lot of things because you're not prepared for that. You were not born with the skills for that as a parent.
Yeah.
But you learn and you figure it out as you go along. And so because of that experience that you will have with that challenged child, it helps you to be better with people in the workplace, with your own other family members, with other people's children, with total strangers, with sitting in a restaurant. So your children are teaching you something. And what you need to do is sit and observe and talk with them and don't be so parentish or parental, thinking because in your mind, I am the mother, I am the parent, you have to listen to me. Or you feel in this day and age, they're more online, which is true, because that is just the timing.
Yeah.
Could we do something about it? Sure. But what would result from that? Resentment, because we know, especially as women, let's take an example. If our parents told us, don't talk to that boy or don't go over there, that is exactly where we're going. Yeah. So it makes no sense trying to deter them from using it. What we could do is say, hey, have a sort of negotiation. Young people these days like to negotiate a lot of things. We didn't have that capacity, or opportunity. So you negotiate. You say, hey, let's sit at the table or whatever it is. And you make sure that it's business-like. All right, it's business. So we are negotiating, mother and child. I noticed that, for example, you're spending a lot of time. How is this impacting your work? If it's not impacting their schoolwork, hey, don't make it an issue. Okay, if they're still maintaining their grades, they're doing well, they're socially, active, don't make it an issue. It's when it becomes an issue is when you could probably say something or bring it up. But if it's not an issue, because the first thing I would say to you as your daughter, Mom, my grades are great. What is your problem? I am doing everything else. I'm doing the chores in the house. I'm cleaning my room. What is the problem? So it's like the parent is coming across as if they're making an issue out of anything, and you're parenting. You're becoming the bad girl or the bad guy in terms of a husband. But just negotiate. Spend time with them. As a matter of fact, you pick up an iPad or a phone and do the things that they're doing. Say, hey, what are you doing? I want to learn what you're doing. Get in their space, get in their head. Because if they're spending so much time with something, it matters to them.
Yeah.
And so you have to try and understand, what is this thing that is mattering to you so much that you're spending so much time? Play the games, understand, get into their mind. Why are they playing these games? What it is that's intriguing them as opposed to going outside, and then find certain activities probably on weekends that you could do that involves not just sitting and talking to each other, but involves social interaction. Bring their friends, people who are there, they like to be around. Let them choose whichever friends they want and do things. Playground, some sort of activity where you have to give up your phone, at least in a couple of hours. And you have to interact with another human being or with other strangers, a team kind of activity. Camps tend to do these type of things really well, where they are put in groups, total strangers they never met, and they have to produce or do something or create something. So you get to see another side of them, and they get to see another side of themselves. But get into what they're doing. If they're spending time watching a particular show, TV, game, whatever it is, sit and watch with them. And they'll be like, oh, Mom, why do you have to be here? I'd be like, hey, this is my house. I could sit anywhere. And I just want to spend time with you. I want to understand what you're doing. Show me, explain to me, what about this excites you?
And I think, you've said two things to kind of summarize. It would be spending time and taking an interest in what they're doing. I
Of
was
course.
talking to one of my kids last night, and it's, well, you shut me down with everything. I said, please give me an example, because I want to be the mom where I encourage you to do anything you ever want to do and follow your dreams. So now you're telling me I shut you down. Can you please tell me? He couldn't, or she. It's a he.
But here's the thing, Charisse. We have to be careful to draw the line.
Yeah.
We are parents, but we are not your friends.
Yeah.
You already have friends as a child. That's your friends thing. But in here, I'm your parent. I am supposed to make sure that you are equipped and provide you with the right environment and skills that when I push you out the door, when I kick you out, that you could survive.
Yeah. And you know where to go.
And you say it like that. When I kick your butt to the curb, you could survive. So they know that it's coming. They're not getting comfortable staying in the house. You say to them, hey, when I kick your butt to the curb, you could survive. That's what I'm doing.
You and my husband would be very, very good friends. I think
you tell them the real thing. Yeah, I'm kicking your butt to the curb. How old are they now?
I have from 25, which they are out of the house, to 10. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, the 10-year-olds, they need to know from now. You're kicking them out of the house. Right? At age 18?
My generation, I left at 17 and I came back for a summer. That was it. And then I was done. And so it's just interesting that these kids, they keep coming back or they just stay.
Because you create the environment for them to come back. Then you need to kind of pound it in. You're not coming back in this house. I'm preparing you to.
They have left. If they leave, they leave. They don't really come back. So yeah, well, I think it's interesting that you have some that they get married and they're still living with mom and dad. And if that's who you are, and that's what you want, but it's just interesting that how we enable our children and even in workplace, our employees, like we just, I used to be that boss where I would do everything because I didn't want to ask anybody for help or something. And or I felt like it wouldn't be done the way I thought. And I mean, I've completely changed. I'm like, here's the task. Here's the end goal. Here's what I want. Here's your parameters. Run, right? And I will be here. And I mean, we still communicate, we still interact, but you're not doing anything. You're not helping anybody.
You're not helping. Yeah. And even if they make crap out of it, say, great. The effort is great. I'm glad to see you do this. Now, let me, tell, as a matter of fact, don't assume that they need the help. You ask them, do you think this could have been better? Are you satisfied with what you have done? Is this something that if you were to stand up in front of 10 people to present it, would you feel confident to do it? And if they say yes to all of that, hey, good for you. I'll support you from the back. If you feel proud of this thing that you create, hey, I will support you hands down. Hey, Charisse did that all on her own. And I'm so proud of her effort and what she did, Hey, that's what you do. No sarcasm, you support. Because if that is what you feel you're capable of, then that's great. But after you're finished and you do a nice little lessons learned meeting, you can say, hey, Charisse, take a look at this particular thing. And you could do a little comparison. Not that you're trying to teach people that you're comparing them, but you're showing what they have done and what could have been or what you expected. and show the difference. And then what do they think you could assist with, or what sort of help, if they think they need it, to fill that gap, to move them from this to this. And you tell them, I see so much in you. I see so much potential in you that you could do it. I know you can.
I love that.
But some people just don't see it within themselves, so they just do the basic. They just do what is enough. Some people just not prepared to do anymore because they may be thinking, I'm being paid this amount and this is equivalent. They already worked out the maths and feel, well, $10 is my pay. I'm going to give $10 worth or $5 worth and pay myself $5 extra, Yeah, you just have to get into the minds of people and observe them. And
I like that.
over time.
And from a mom perspective, I think a good way to this analogy would be your kids, you get to make dinner tonight. So if they're going to make something really gross, it's like, well, we're all going to
eat it with pleasure, Charisse.
No, but what I mean by that is if they're going to do kind of a side job, well, we're going to all eat it, including you. So
of course, we're all eating it.
Yeah, I love that.
Presentation, or you could have a chopped competition, a house chopped competition. I don't know if you look at chopped and everybody has something to prepare, and then we could
fun.
That's fun. You could have a
that's so much fun. Well, yeah. I want to talk about your business for a second. Because you are a communication specialist and a consultant. And so how do you get your clients?
I bid for them, I think. They come to me. Sometimes they request. I don't necessarily do much marketing. People know me out on the World Wide Web, People haven't said that word in a long time, World Wide Web. But true. Yeah, haven't heard that in a while. But yeah, I'm out there and people will reach me. Some people who know me within the network and they know what I do. They will say, hey, Corine, are you interested in this project? And so I will say, sure. And they either suggest me, so there's no sort of protocol to go through, or I may have to submit my resume, just for transparency and a proper process. But normally that's what I do. Yeah, and then I do things like this, come on podcasts. It goes out there, people hear me, they hear my expertise, they might like me, my personality, my voice, where I live, I don't know. And they just decide to reach out to me.
So how did you find this is first of all, what is your why and how did you find this path?
It found me.
Okay.
It found me. I naturally aligned with communications since I was born. I've always spoken very well. To me, I never knew that. From a child, I was actually jeered at for the way I spoke. My own cousins laughed at me when I said a proper sentence, proper grammar, and they actually laughed at me. And I still live with that up to this day because, you feel your older siblings and relatives are laughing at you when you know to yourself you haven't said anything wrong. Right. But because they embarrass you and everybody was just laughing, you feel a way about it, Mm-hmm. But I have come to terms with that because even up to this day and age, people are like, you're not from Trinidad, because I don't have a strong, probably Trinidadian accent, or the way how I speak, which I don't recognize, because what you hear with yourself is not what other people hear. And then when I record, because I do voiceover, it's a different sound. Nobody could recognize it's me. So it just works. And I'm very good with the written language. I'm very good with communicating with people. I'm not perfect. Far from it. It's always a work in progress. And that is what makes it interesting to me. That every day when I interact with people, so like when I'm talking with you or anybody else, I am always replaying that conversation. What could I have done better, said better, or explained better, or, things like that. But we have to know in communication that people have different backgrounds, people come with different baggage, people come with different trauma, a whole lot of other things. And it doesn't matter what you say. Sometimes you could never say the right thing to somebody, because they will always interpret it in a way that is coming from their own experience and background. So just do the best that you can. Be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah. Nope. I love that. And are you a mom?
I am.
Okay. So my next question, and I forgot to ask you that before, that's why I asked it.
That's all right.
So I want you to imagine yourself sitting on a park bench and a 9-month pregnant woman comes up to you and she's first-time mom, and you kind of flash back to your time, right? And now where you are today with your kids. What is one piece of advice, if it could be anything, that you would
Mhm.
give her as a new, soon to be new mom? Any?
Enjoy the process.
Okay.
Enjoy the process. You're starting a new journey. Something happens to us when we become a mom.
Hmm.
I Being pregnant is one thing, but from the time you give birth, something happens. I can't explain it. I don't know if it happens for fathers. I don't think it does. But for mothers, I don't know if it's a process that we go through carrying this baby within us, and having that bond or something. I don't know what happens, but from the time that child comes out, there is a totally difference. You turn into somebody else. Not in a bad way, but it's like you realize it's not about you. You have another person now that you're totally responsible for, that you may have to give your life for, that you will be prepared to probably give your life for, that is dependent on you. I've heard fathers say it when they have daughters. It's different when they have a boy child. I guess they could throw him out in the woods and let the wolves take him. But when they, but when it's a girl, it's like, no, I'm gonna kill that wolf and all these other siblings. Any boy that come and say hello to her, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, you don't say hello to my daughter. It's just there's something that happens to us. It's the same thing that happens when you get married. Well, you could tell me because I haven't been married. When that ring goes on that finger, it's like something happens. I don't know. I sense it without, I don't know. Something happens.
No,
I don't know.
if you understand, which again, my book gets into, if you understand the commitment that you're making, yes, something different. It changes.
But that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing with commitment being a parent. It's a lifelong commitment. You can't sever that. Even if you give up your child, you are still a mom.
Yeah.
You're still a mom. It doesn't sever. It's a permanent, forever kind of thing. So I would say enjoy the process, to the new mom. You can't get back this feeling again. This is something that will live with you forever. And you've been blessed to be able to carry a child and have a child and get the status of a mom. There's no training, there's no nothing. You give yourself grace, like I said to you, Charisse, earlier, give yourself grace. And you will make mistakes, but you'll be able to learn from them.
Yep, that's very true. Well, Corine, thank you so much. And if our listeners wanted to get a hold of you, because they're like, she's got some great advice, I want more, then how do they find you?
Well, they could either go through you to get to me, which is probably the fastest way, or they could just Google my name, Corine La Font, on LinkedIn or on Google, and they'll find me. You must see this cute face anywhere. So.
I love that. That is so great. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. I had a really good time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Unbreakable Moms, there's a lot of golden nuggets that happened here today. And we talked about making sure that your message is clear and that you're taking it from another person's perspective and that you are true to yourself and to make sure that you enjoy the process. Those are just a few of the things I took away. And so I hope that in your life, you really, you take this and you decide to be you and be unapologetic about it because there's only one you and you are important and you matter. So go out and make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.